think it's afternoon, so good afternoon, one and all, and thank you for inviting me, giving me the opportunity to appear here and participate in this forum. Some of you know that I came last week for the first time, and I was very excited to see the conversations that were going on here. Fortunately, my office is just 4 or 5 blocks away, so my wife, Georgia, and I joined as members, and I'm hoping to continue to participate. As introduced, I am Chris Harker, the House District 34 representative. I have only been so for 3 months. I can not claim a lot of experience in that regard yet, although I have been learning pretty rapidly. It's like drinking from the fire hose, as an analogy that's been used many times. That is one of the hats that I wear. I'm also a husband and father, a former academic up at OHSU, and an entrepreneurial business owner. Started out on the East Coast, spent a lot of time in the Midwest for educational purposes primarily, and left the Mayo Clinic 21 years ago to come out here to work at OHSU. I didn't raise my hand when asked if there were doctors in the house because I'm the wrong kind of doctor. I'm a PhD, not an MD. All right? But my wife and I have spent 21 years in Washington County, raised both of our kids here, and we're in unincorporated Washington County. Kids went through the Beaverton school system, and kid number 2 of 2, son Graham, is about to graduate from Sunset High School. Hopefully, yes. We really hope so. I want to talk today a bit about why I decided to take on this new challenge. I have a fair number of things going on in my life already, but this is something that I have wanted to do for a long time. I wrote long ago to Governor Roberts, and I wrote to Governor Kitzhaber when he was in office about my concerns about what was going on in education in this state primarily. As a result of Measure 5, we saw an awful lot of decay there. I took a lot of comfort in what some of the politicians were trying to do at that time, but it's been a great frustration to watch what has happened to education until recently. It looks as if now the time is right for me to do this. The time was not right before, given where the family was and the career, etc., but I think that the time is right for me to do this. I want to talk about a few familiar themes here. We've heard others talk about them, and we will hear about them talked about an awful lot. Education, healthcare, protecting the natural environment that we have here, and government accountability. Now, it's no coincidence that many of us are talking about these same issues. They're on everyone's minds these days, as is the economy, especially after last week. But in going around and getting to know my constituents, knocking on their doors and seeing the results of the survey that they are taking, it's very clear that they're on the top of everybody's minds right now as well. The top 3 really in my survey results that I was looking at again this morning are education, environment, and healthcare costs and access to healthcare. Why I think I can help out here is that I have spent really most of my adult life working in either healthcare or small business administration. I spent a lot of time in environmental work. When you see, if you haven't already seen my voters pamphlet statement, which I would urge you to all look at, you'll see something that I said I was a smokestack tester. And that is the truth. I worked after an undergraduate degree in environmental sciences. I was an independent third-party tester in the upper Midwest. So I spent a fair amount of time in some of the armpits of the nation looking at what was coming out of factories in the gaseous and the aqueous solutions coming out of their stacks and pipes, respectively. So I think I can help. I have a fair amount of experience working in these areas. Education is one of them. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was a very curious kid, and I don't mean odd, but a little bit of that too, I suppose. But I had great curiosity. I was very hungry for learning, and fortunately my parents encouraged me to go to school, and I benefited tremendously from a very solid public education system. I feel that I owe it to our kids and the rest of the kids yet to come to continue to provide that to all of them. Any kid, regardless of their level of income and that their parents are able to bring in, they deserve access to really good education all the way through, and we owe that to them, and we should provide it to them. I have been Like Representative Galizio, I have been endorsed by some of the education organizations here, Stand for Children, AFT, and also more recently the Beaverton Education Association. And I'm proud of those connections and have had some very illuminating conversations with folks there. I also participated last Friday in a discussion about the hiring of the new University of Oregon president, which is going to be a very important thing for us all as a state. And it was a fascinating conversation. 2 minutes already, good God. All right, so very interesting presentation by the presidents of Portland State and the Chancellor and Oregon State University. We'll move on. Environment. The environment is not just critical for the environment itself, it attracts business here. When I took my job at OHSU, I took it, the salary that I was able to negotiate was half of what the first offer I received on the East Coast. I came here, we came here because we wanted to live here. We appreciate what this place has to offer. We all know that people come here to live because of the quality of life, the environment, and it's not just the radical bike community. It's people who are come here, wind up doing all kinds of great things in the business and academic community. Very pleased to see the wind farms going in, the new $6 million grant to Oregon State University to help develop wave energy. All of these things can help us get into the forefront of alternative sustainable energy development, which should help greatly on the environmental side. Lastly, healthcare costs. My situation is that I'm a business owner. I've got 14 employees 4 or 5 blocks from here. We have to provide insurance to each and every one of those folks, and every year it costs us way more. And as Representative Greenlake back there knows in spades, we've got to turn it around. And I am honored to be on the Healthcare Committee with Representative Greenlake, and hopefully we can wrestle this thing to the ground in some ways and make it more affordable and accessible for everyone. We've just got to provide better coverage for people at an affordable rate. The ER is not the place to go for primary care. There are lots of challenges before us. I think that, thank you, that there are opportunities hidden in many of these challenges. I've been successful to the degree that I have in the business that I run because we represented exactly that, or recognized that situation. There was an opportunity behind this big challenge that I, as a medical researcher, was facing. And so consequently, we have built up this business. We have a reputation around the country in the research community as a business that delivers on its promises, thinks creatively, and comes through with appropriate solutions for the problems at hand. I hope to be elected, not re-elected, but to get into a session here finally and bring that same approach to Salem. Thank you very much for your attention and the opportunity to be here.
Why don't we have a couple of questions? John, you can go over there, but we'll take anybody other than John over on this side. Anybody wants to pose questions?
Well, at least there's a comment after we'll talk to anybody but John. But here's my question. You've been in the community since 93, is that correct, 95?
In the community, we moved here in 87.
Oh, 87, okay. So you remember the bad times in Oregon then?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think there's any way to expand Oregon's economy so we don't have those stretches of 5 or 6 or 7 years where absolutely nothing happens and essentially the state loses population and desirability as a location to do business?
To some degree, I believe there is. To some other degree, though, we're pawns being swept along in currents that are way beyond our control.